What is up YouTube, KM888 here, and I'm back again with an updated Onoma Ryzeal deck profile. This deck profile is going to be for post-Banlist, but I'm also going to tell you guys what you have to do when Doom of Dimension is going to be released. That's going to be important because I am prepping this list specifically for YCS Lille, and I hope it's going to work out. I hope I'm going to stay awake for a possible 15-round tournament. I have no idea, but we'll have to see how it goes. I wanted to update my list, give you this one, just so you know how to run this. Maybe I'll see you guys at Lille, who knows. But I just love this and I just wanted to update you guys as well. So that's why I'm doing this deck list right at this moment. It seems weird with not having the Doom of Dimension cards still, but yeah, let's just go for it, I guess. Onoma engine isn't going to change that much. It's still triple the DOOD warrior. It's one of the dwarf, one coat, one Gambara knight, and then for when Doom of Dimension is going to be released, you are going to run one additional Onomatopoeia. The deck list at this point is 41 cards. With Onomatopoeia is going to be 42. The reasoning for 42 over 40 is because you are playing these semi-bricks. Like, you are playing the four monsters that you actually don't necessarily want to see, but you don't really mind as well. So yeah, you're playing 42 because of those semi-bricks. It's necessary. If you're running 40, you're going to see these way more, and you're just gonna hate it, so yeah. Next to that, we have the spells of the engine, of course. We have the triple Onomatopoeia. I think it's necessary to play 3 of this. I see a lot of people play 2, but you need this for the to get the DOOD warrior. It's just too important. And then the 1 pickup. I still think pickup is definitely worthy to be played. I don't see it a lot. The card has only been good for me. Every time, sometimes when I side it out, I lose the game because I don't get to, I can't get to it, and then I cannot modulate my levels anymore in the field, and sometimes it just costs the game. So pick up, very amazing card, and I hardly side it out even. So, but that's this for the Onoma engine. I do believe that as soon as I have the Onomatopoeia, this is going to be 6, 7, 10, 11. It's an 11 card engine. It's actually fine. It's enough. For Ryzeals, we know X has been hit to 1, but do we care? No. Thing is, for this deck list, I was running 2X for the last 2 tournaments, but I cut Bonfire because I really didn't think the search for Bonfire sometimes was detrimental because negates for it, or draw and lock being in format, and just having the monster is way better. So that's why I had bumped the sword up to 2 by cutting the Bonfire. But now that X is just gone, I just put in Bonfire again. So we have Note, we have Star, and then of course we have the Risiel Cross and the Bonfire. I'm not a fan of 7 Tachyon at this point. Well, truth be told, I would be a big fan of 7 Tachyon if we could only search DOOD warrior. But this is a 6, and even the number C giant hand is only a rank 5, and that's actually the sad part. If I could search the DOOD warrior with it, I'd go for it. You could, how do I have to say this? You could make an argument for running the 7 Tachyons, so having the 3 copies with the Goblinberg alongside, because then you can search Goblinberg, and then Goblinberg goes for the, for the dwarf, and then with the dwarf and Goblinberg you can make an exceed, detach the Goblinberg, and then you can search the warrior. But that's you're playing 4 more cards just to get to the DOOD warrior, and it's so much room, and I'd rather play hand traps. Bit more concise, play more hand traps, and those actually win you games, so yeah. But this is it for the Ryzeal engine now. I do not mind not drawing it half of the time, because the entire Onoma engine can bridge into the Ryzeal engine, so it's actually fine. Losing 1x isn't that big of a deal, because in my combos, sometimes I go through X, but most of the time it's the one-off. Normal summoning Eyes, special X get the effect. and then you can just recycle it with Emerald, with a cross, and then you just search it afterwards, and you get it anyway. So the 1x doesn't really matter at all. The only thing that is sad is because you're going to draw it less in your opening hand, which means that you cannot use it as a breaker anymore. I guess that's the only downside, but I wasn't, like, as I said, I wasn't playing Bonfire in my last 2 tournaments anymore. And now I just, like, if I see the Bonfire, it's the same as drawing the second X, right? Something like that. Of course, I'm still on the Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo. This card is bonkers, and I don't even mind hard drawing it. I've had a couple of games, like, I'm going to show this already because you guys know I am playing Izunas and Lupus. I've had a couple of games where I semi-bricked, and I opened like 4 hand traps and a Pachy. And I'm like, okay, I have the Izuna with 3 more hand traps, I have the Pachy, I can't really play, but what can I do? So I go draw face, send by face, and my opponent actually goes Fubalos or Mulcharmi Perulia, like stuff like that. It happened twice at my already in my last 3 tournaments, so that's actually sick that it happens as much. But people don't like waiting with the Mulcharmi sometimes because of talents. I don't think you should play around talents all the time, but in certain situations it's definitely better to play around it. And then because they use the Mulcharmi, I can just go, okay, Izuna, effect, special, use the effect, Lupus to the grave, Lupus effect on field, use this effect, overlay, and then I just overlay them, and I go into a Valon. I'm gonna pick it for a second. So I go into Valon, most of the time in defense, I guess, because I don't want to run into a Lightning Storm, and then I just normal summon Pachycephalo. And when they are playing things like Yummy or Malice, like they all have a lot of small monsters, and they actually cannot out the Pachycephalo that easily. And summoning something just means I can go, okay, Valon effect, detach, book your card. And then in my turn, I just swap this to attack, and I go poking. And then this just goes on for a couple of turns, but you have to think, like, they're not going to have an out for Fossil Dyna Pachy every turn, because not a lot of people are playing big monsters. And on top of that, I have hand traps, and I have big monsters that I can normal summon next to it, like all the Ryzeal names. If I see a secondary Izuna, which also happened, because your opponent more than likely has more than 2 cards in their hands, you can just normal summon Izuna, and then you have a 2100 beater next to it. So that's a thing. Next to that, if you have high level cards, like the DOOD Warrior, you can just tribute over the Fossil Dyna, and then turn it off in your turn, stuff like that. But in general, this Fossil Dyna has been doing wonders for me. Like, every time, I don't summon it in every tournament, like every match, but like most of the time when you summon it, you win. And that's just crazy. If you can do your full combo, the opponent's going to scoop anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But just having this on board in a half board, it's crazy. Like, if they use 2 or 3 hand traps and you still get to this, man, that's just amazing. And like, especially now against things like Yummy, they're all small monsters. So unless they have the field spell, the minion, but if you summon this, they really can't do anything about that. Also, a good strategy against Yummy is just setting this, because if they attack it, everything gets destroyed in the damage step, so you cannot trigger anything. And Surprise cannot bounce face down cards, so yeah, it's actually a thing to have that. And then everything else of the deck is, of course, non-engine. So first things first, I'm going to show the Izunas, of course. I've already went through them. With the Lupus, I'm not main decking the Noroi post Doom of Dimension. I am going to side that. I'll go over that when we pass the side. But these are amazing. Like, just having a to make a Ripper or a Valon during your opponent's turn is just busted. Especially Valon, I do a lot of plays where if I open Izuna with something like an Ice or a Gambaranite, then you can go Izuna effect during your opponent's turn, summon Lupus, go for the Valon, book something, and then in your turn you can just normal summon the Ice, use the effect, go from there. or summon the Gambara Knight, because that doesn't lock you in Exceeds, and you can go SP Little Knight with a Valon and your other monster, so you can get a Banish and a spell trap, a back row pop. So that's actually really great, and you get a lot of value out of your Izuna that way. I am not playing Typhon for the Lupus. It's a thing that you can do, but I've never had the scenario where I wanted to use that for a Typhon, so yeah. Next up, triple Fualos. Fualos is one of the most valuable hand traps in this format, against Yummy, against Dracotail. Sure, you don't get a lot of draws of it, but it does mean that they cannot go full combo. And then if they don't go full combo during their turn, it's way easier to play through it in your turn with all the engine pieces that you're playing. And that's actually a way that you can that you really easily win sometimes. Next up, triple Ash Blossom Joy Spring. You want to negate the Fualos yourself. You don't have to. I've done it a lot where I know my opponents on a lot of engine cards, and they go Fualos, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to let that through. I do my full combo, and I have my full board. And then the opponent has like 15 cards in their hand, but they don't have an out for the Pachycephalo, and like I don't need to Ash then at that point. Of course, I do Ash most of the times because I don't want to get nipped or drolled afterwards. But in general, if you fear that like they have a Book of Eclipse or something, then you don't even need to Fualos. You can just leave the Fualos, give them the 15 draws, you don't care, and then you can just Ash the Book of you can keep Ash for Book of Eclipse, which is a thing. It happens a couple of times. Next to the triple Ash, triple Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. I feel the top two decks in the format are going to be Yummy and Dracotail, and then to a degree, I guess, the pure Mitsu decks with all the variants that they are going to play. But even against Mitsu, like if they use a ritual effect in the graveyard to special summon, you can just bell that and it cannot come back. Against Yummy, I like to keep these for when the Synchro monsters tag out. So when they tag out, they don't get anything back. That often stops their plays, which is actually fun to do during your turn and theirs. Ash Blossom, like with Obedience School being gone, you can just keep this for the Yummy Cup Seaway. So that's actually really fun to do. I love the combination of these. Against Dracotail, these work against all the trap cards, so most of the time you're going to be safe from them. As well as if they have the, what's it called, the Gulgamesh, the one that destroys. If they use a trap card and you chain like a Ghost Bar or something, then they cannot pop anything, so that's also a thing. But yeah, I just love that. So that's already 12 of the hand traps. Then we have some monster effect negation. I'm running double Veiler, double Imperm, and double Droplet. The last two, of course, not being hand traps. But I've had a couple of Dracotail matchups during my last tournaments, and especially in the beginning, I wasn't playing Veilers and Imperms. I was only playing triple Droplet. I felt short on having effect negation to stop the fusion. I forgot what its name is. The one that recurs from the graveyard all the time. If you just stop that with a Veiler or an Imperm, or Droplet, of course, then they cannot replenish their hand anymore, and they hit a wall somewhere. So it's really important to stop that, which is amazing if you have these. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. I don't really like to use these against Yummy because Yummy can tag out, but there are certain situations where they go with Sky Striker engine first, and then they get to the Yummy Cup Seaway, and you can just Imperm or Veiler there because they don't have anything in their graveyard yet. So it's actually a thing. And then the final two cards are Talents and Call By. That didn't change. At the moment, the deck is 41 cards. If you just add the Onomatokage, it's going to be 42. Having the Onomatokage is actually going to be really important because it gives you an additional target for everything in your Onoma engine. Like it counts as a Go, as a Dododo, as a Gagaga, Zubaba, an Onuma card as well, so you can search it off of everything in that engine. And it's just an extra extender. So even if you have Gambara Knight with the Onomatokage, you can just special both off of the Gambara because it's also a Gagaga, the Onomatokage. And then when you send it to the graveyard afterwards as a cost for your Exceed, then you can just special summon it back to the field if you still control one of the names. So yeah, it's actually a thing, and it's just so good to get additional monsters that you're not relying on anything or something. Also, it's a way better combo if you have Onomatokage in the deck if you start out with the Onomatopoeia. So yeah. For Exceeds, we have Utopic Futures Exile. This card is just cheeky. I had a couple of times where I go Fualos, and they end on a very minimalistic board, and you can just go Gaga Gaga Girl and Gaga Gaga Magician in your turn, and then you overlay them into Utopic Futures Exile, and this is a monster with 4000 attack then that can attack twice. It's just, like, it's stupid. Then we have Ryzeal Duo Drive, Ryzeal Detonator. I guess these are the 5 most important ones, I think, in my extra deck. I still love these. I still love the Ryzeal engine in general. I don't really like Dryden because Dryden is going to have 0 attack most of the time because you're not really playing Zodiacs. If you want to play it, you're going to go Chakanine into Dryden as a kind of sub-engine, I guess, but it having 0 defense and 0 attacks is really detrimental at that point. For generic rank 4s, we're on Gallant Granite to Surge of Fossil Dyna. We still have the Dagara as a Timeless. You need this to special the Fossil Dyna from the graveyard. Daigusto Emerald. This, like, you could cut this, like, if you're real about it. But you need it in the 1-card combo. So if you have, like, you're playing the duel and you're trying to play through negates, like, if you've gone through everything already from your opponent and the last card in your hand is the Dodo Warrior, then you'll need the Daigusto Emerald for the 1-card combo. So it's actually a thing that you get to use it. Also, just in general, like, during duels, like, if you make this get an extra draw, that can actually be so powerful. Light Dragon at Ignister. This card is generally in here because of Luna Light. If you have 2 rank 4s on the board and they don't use the effect of Liger Dancer to pop them, you just go Light Dragon at Ignister, and then everything on your field is protected for destruction. And that's the important part, because this can negate destruction twice, so even if they double Liger Dancer, it doesn't matter. And you out the Liger Dancers by just attacking over it. Like, Dagaris can make something attack twice, so if you... Dagaris can double something's attack, and if you go Eclipse Twins, then this guy can attack twice, and you can just attack over both the Liger Dancers, for instance. It's just a way to out-double Liger, I guess. Evil Swarm Exeter. I was running Baguska for a long time. I've even ran an Evil Tsar Lars for a while, because it's possible to make a rank 6 in this deck. I've went through everything, I think, that there is. But in general, I've noticed that in this new format against Yummy, there's often a situation where they just let me make an Exceed. Because outing the Exceed is actually more valuable for them. And then if I can make Exiton and just blow up everything that they have, then it doesn't matter anymore, because they cannot chain their stuff. If they try to chain, then that still goes to the graveyard, and the Exiton can actually come in clutch at that point. I've missed this in 2 of my tournaments that I was playing, that I did. I'm just adding it in. Like, I like to play against Yummy because the Fossil Dyna gives me a really good matchup. But having this would be so beneficial for going second. And then the final 5 cards in the extra deck are our utility. So we have the Eclipse Twins. You need, like, most of the time I just make this to clear my board a bit, because having 2 useless rank 4s on the board sometimes doesn't do anything, and then going into the Eclipse to further make your board is actually sometimes really good. Also, like, Eclipse Twin sending it from X, of course, is still a thing. We have the Aggregator for it as well, and the Vallon. The combination of having these 2 is very important for when the opponent is playing Floodgates. If they flip the Floodgate up, then you can go send Aggregator. If they don't flip the Floodgate up, then you just go Vallon. So, And then Velon and Ripper are the two rank 5s that you can make off of the Izuna. And the final card, SP Little Knight. I do think you have to run at least one link in this deck in case you get dimensional barriered. But the play that I explained already with the Velon to make SP Little Knight is so important. It comes in clutch like all the time. Side deck, first thing that I'm going to say is like play triple Noroi. I don't have them yet, of course. Doom of Dimension hasn't been released yet, but I'm going to play 3 K9 Noroi in this. The reasoning behind this, when you're going first post-siding, there is a big chance that the opponent will have things like Nibiru, Drone Lock, stuff like that. So Ice Ryzeal is actually an out for those already, because you can normal summon Ice, special Star Ryzeal. Star is going to get you the field spell, and then you can overlay into Duo Drive, and then you have the out. Because they won't draw and lock, they won't Nibiru, unless they have both. So that's always a thing. But playing around multiple hand traps sometimes isn't always as possible. But having the Noroi is also just a normal summon. You summon Izuna. Izuna sends the Lupus, and then you can overlay into River. And then you have a hand trap negate already, which is also very important. And it doesn't play into draw, it doesn't play into Nibiru. And then if you have the DOOD Warrior or an Onomatopoeia or the pickup, you can just play from there and just win, I guess. But yeah, so 3 Noroi. Imagine they are here. Next to that, we have triple Phantasme. I've seen that if you have Phantasme against Yummy, you're so much ahead. It's crazy. And then alongside the Phantasmes, I'm also on Magnamut and Drewsworm. I do feel that banishing the Yummies from their graveyard is actually really good. Sure, they will have the Marshmallow soon, but that doesn't matter. Like, just play the 2 Bestials is actually really, really beneficial. As well, the Bestials are still great against Mitsurugi, because if they are still only playing one Amino Mitsurugi, like the one that negates. So if that gets into the graveyard somewhere and you chain a Bestial to banish it, then it's most of the time gone. And if you can just negate the level 4 that could bring it back, then like you don't have to deal with it, and you're probably going to steamroll and win. So these are actually still really, really, really good. Magnamut can also search a Phantasme on top of searching the Drewsworm. So you actually have 4 copies of Phantasme against decks like Malice or the Yummy deck. It's actually really good. Comes in clutch so many times. Then, surprise of the deck, I guess. Instead of going Duster and triple Lightning Storm, I've opted for Cosmic Cyclone. This might seem weird, but there's a thought process in there, because I went to regionals and locals, and because I am playing Bestials, I am playing Phantasmes, and in the main deck I am playing the K9 package, it was often a thing where my opponent started their turn and I got something on the board. And suddenly the Lightning Storm in my hand would be dead. So I'd have to make a choice. Am I going to put the Phantasme on the board? Am I going to put the Bestial on the board, the Uzuna? Or am I going to try for the Lightning Storm? And I didn't like that situation. So I opted to swap out the Lightning Storms and put in Cosmic Cyclones. And those actually are better than you might think. It's weird for the 1-for-1, but sometimes it's all you need. You often know where the threats are, and that's actually enough. Something that actually also came up against the Dracotail opponent that I had. I used the Onomatopoeia, discarded a card to try and search 2, and he used the spell negate that Dracotail has. So he targets my Onomatopoeia, try and negate it, and I chain Cosmic Cyclone on my Onomatopoeia, banishing it before the negate goes through. So it's actually a thing that can come up where this is protecting you from the Dracotail trap. So that's actually kind of crazy. But yeah. And then next to the Duster and the Cosmics, I am still playing Solemn Judgment for going first. I swapped out a Solemn Judgment for Solemn Scolding, and then I am still on the Unbreakable Exceed barrier. We are searching this going first, so you already are searching for some kind of Solemn Judgment. On top of this, because I didn't want to run just one Judgment, like one Judgment is weird, but it's still a really good card. I opted for a Solemn Scolding. This is basically a better Solemn Judgment, but with a harsher activation requirement. So you can only activate it when it's the only set card on your field. You have to pay 3,000, and you can negate summons, spell, traps, or monster effects. So you can, like, it's also a Solemn Strike because it can also negate a monster effect. What's the downside of it? If I would be playing 2 Scolding or 3 Scolding, if you draw multiple, you can only set 1. That's the big downside. So I opted to only run 1, so you actually have some kind of a play set of Solemn Judgment stills. So even if I draw all 3 of these and I have some kind of a board, I can still set all 3. And then when my opponent tries to play, I can go, okay, I'm going to Solemn Judgment first. Next card I'm going to negate with the Unbreakable Exceed barrier, and you'll be left with the Scolding that you can now activate. So there is actually a thing that if you draw them all, you still can activate Scolding, and it kind of functions as a judgment. Is it important to actually have cards like this? I still think yes, because the Fossil Dyna lock is actually so powerful. It only gets outed by things like Book of Eclipse, Forbidden Droplet, Dark Ruler, yeah, stuff like that. Maybe a normal summon even, because if you don't get to the Futures Exile, then a normal summon is actually going to out your Fossil Dyna. But this can also negate summons. And that's important, because if I didn't need to negate summons, I could have just run something else like Iron Thunder or something. So yeah, the Scolding in that regard is way better for this deck. Sure, it can set you on a low amount of life points, because this is 3,000 always. And not half your life points like the judgments are. But with the new time rules, like, it doesn't matter. As long as I have 1 life point, I have a chance to win. So yeah. And that was the deck actually. I hope you guys liked it. I'm going to try and do an update video somewhere soon. Probably post Lille, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna do one before Lille, where I explain how I kind of want to play against all different type of meta decks. Against Yummy, against Regotail, what I try to do against Mitsurugi, what I try to do against Lunalight, stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you guys like this. I guess I see you guys in the next one. See ya.